A big picture question about the Thunder. And I was looking at some stuff on Presti, and I definitely made fun of the idea of, oh, hey, cool, you got 7 more second-round picks in 2030. The accumulation of assets that they used and how those assets turned into what they now have is actually a pretty fascinating thing. The connection to Paul George and how he was moved by both the Thunder and the Pacers for pieces that could end up being a finals with what the net gains were from that are really interesting. But I can't help but think if the Thunder get there, that we'll be guilty of doing what we did in 2012 when we had the SVP and Russillo show. And what was the point I made about the Thunder then? I'm asking you to remember something more than a decade ago. I was yelling, enjoy right now. Because if you remember at the time, they had Westbrook, Harden, and Durant. All were like 23 or younger. One of the youngest core groups we've ever seen make it to the finals. Oh, man, these guys are going to be awesome forever. This is amazing. Or they'll never go again. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with Shea's 26, Jalen Williams 24, Chet's 23, and they assembled it via trade and via the draft picks that Presti accumulated. It's the envy of what you want if you're an organization. Like, you look at Philly, and Philly fans are going, like, that was a pretty good process that they had, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just because it feels like it's the beginning of something that's got a mile of runway, you just never know how things go. You just don't. The one thing I'd say about this core group is it seems that everyone takes their cues from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's as stoic as anybody. I asked Williams about it last night on SportsCenter. I was like, I'm impressed with how unimpressed you all seem to be. Like, they've won 79 games between the regular season and the playoffs. They could be as extravagant and arrogant as they wish. They just aren't. So it seems like this could be a group that's together for a while, but things just rarely go as planned. So I'm just struck by remembering a Thunder team that was young, that seemed like the world was their oyster. And this Thunder team, all of this is to say, if you can win it right now, win it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea that you're going to have unlimited time just never happens. Look at Minnesota. This is the second straight year they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. If they lose here on Wednesday or whenever, will this team look the same moving forward with Randall and Alexander Walker as like free agents? And after, wasn't he their leading scorer last night?
I think so.
He had 30-some-odd. Just, my point is simply that whatever is now should be celebrated, because the idea that it will be tomorrow or 2 or 3 years from now, just unlikely.
Well, that's my issue, is I don't think the fans are celebrating it. Like, it's a plan, and that's what I think. I believe we agree about the Sixers. They just never would take a player or get a good player. They just kept pushing it back.
No, we want to kick this can down the road till infinity.
But okay,
I thought the Thunder were guilty of it too, and they.
Oh, see, I didn't.
They clearly weren't.
When they got SGA, I thought that was genius, because then you got him. Then you're in the bubble. You got Chris Paul. It's like, how is this going to work? Guess what? A team has success with Chris Paul on it, and then you start finding your things. In the same draft, they get Chet and Jalen Williams. Like, that's you're going in here.
Big credit for the Williams pick, because I mean, Santa Clara, right?
Nobody watched him.
I saw him. Dave Fleming games. Come on.
That's true.
Shout out to Flem. But I thought, okay, he's good in the West Coast Conference. Whatever. I didn't have him as being an absolute killer in a game where every single time the Thunder made a rally, every time, they had not just an answer, but the answer, the ultimate knockout. And it was Williams that took and made monster shots over and over again. He had 34 points. Now, Shai had 40. I mean, the two of them both had career playoff highs in the same game. I had no idea. I mean, everyone thought Chet would be awesome, and he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I had no clue that J-Dub, not J-Will, they have a J-Will, but that I didn't know that Jalen Williams would be this.
Yeah, but that's the other part of this that people just can't fathom, I guess. And I'm glad Legs pointed out, is he was the guy last year that got a brunt of the criticism because he didn't play well in that Mavs series. Like, just did not play well. Had the spotlight, and then you go back even further. It's their third year.
Well, they looked young last year because they were and they are still.
Sorry they were the 1 seed and they were young.
Right.
They hadn't been there. It's part of this process. I mean, I go back to Jordan.
Of course.
How many times did he fail?
I've said it a million times. Everybody know. Well, not everybody. Younger listeners won't know.
You have those?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Any young. We had Canadian people. We said no one in Canada's listening. People in Canada,
4.
Shout out to our 4 Canadian listeners. Miroslav Freacher, Danny Dao's family. If you're younger, 3 or 4 listeners, Boston delayed Detroit, Detroit delayed Chicago, and then Chicago just didn't have anybody left. They were last team standing for quite some time. But it typically is part of the process. You learn how to do it. It seems like they're learning how to do it.